Electricity bills will become more expensive in January after the energy regulator Ofgem announced an increase in its latest price cap this morning. It will go up by 1.2% to £1,738. It's a rise of £21 or about £1.75 per month. Let's speak to our business presenter, Darren McCaffrey. Darren, an increase, but not a huge increase.
Indeed, and that should be noted. Given the fact that we've seen substantial increases, Wolf, haven't we, over the last couple of years? This is a very modest one, but it is an increase nonetheless. It should also be said, and we explain this every time, don't we, that figure, that overall figure of £1,738 is not in itself a cap. The cap comes at the unit price, so if you use a lot less energy, well then, frankly, you'll pay a lot less than the average of £1,738. But if you're a household that uses a lot of energy, you could well pay a lot more than that figure on the bottom of your screen. Now, the concerning thing, I think, for family households up and down the country is the very fact that, as you can see, that figure is still relatively high to the previous figures that we saw before Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now, they are well down on what they were. Look at that 4,000 figure back in January 2023. They are down, but they are still overall higher than we had pre that invasion. And they are 10% up. This cap has been lifted by 10% in October. And that means that millions of households will be paying a lot more this winter. And it comes at a time, of course, in which we know pensioners, for example, will have had the winter fuel allowance removed, and there is an expectation that 100,000 of them are likely to move into what's called fuel poverty. We have heard from the government today, though. The Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband, has released a statement about all of this. He says that the rise in the energy price cap will cause concern for families struggling with the cost of living. We are taking action to insulate homes, providing the warm home discount to 3 million families, driving increased take-up of pension credit and working with suppliers to ensure there is help available for the most vulnerable customers. But you listen to many who work in the energy sector and they say that, frankly, Britain needs to be less exposed to the turbulence of global energy prices. They need to essentially, yes, invest in renewables, but sort out the market to make that renewable dividend, if you like, work in the UK, which they would say it's not happening at the moment.
Darren, just quickly talk me through as well the retail sales data, because that's perhaps more significant today.
Yeah, and it's down. Sales volumes 0.7% in October. Now, why is that? A couple of factors. There has been a lot of uncertainty about the budget. Many feel that that uncertainty has dragged down those figures. Consumers essentially not willing to spend money while they didn't know what the tax situation would be like. Also, we had a pretty mild October, and that meant that people didn't go out and buy winter clothes like they normally would. We saw substantial falls in clothes sales. Now, the expectation is, given the fact that the budget is now in the rear view window and the fact that it is a lot colder these days, that these figures will bounce back, and we're now definitely in the downward slope into Christmas. But there is long-term concerns about the very fact that economic growth is expected to be relatively slow and that there will be a further squeeze on people's living standards, that actually those figures, those retail figures, those sales figures might not be quite as strong as initially had been predicted.
Darren, thanks so much, Darren McCaffrey there.